What if I told you that the life you're living isn't entirely yours? Sounds extreme, right? But here's the paradox: you've been walking around carrying a stolen identity, and no one ever warned you. From childhood, you were trained to fit into boxes, to follow rules, to silence the strange pull of your inner compass. And somewhere along the way, something priceless slipped through your fingers: your soul's original design. Here's the controversy most people avoid: this wasn't just influence, it was theft. Your soul's unique vibration, the hidden code of soul, was overridden by borrowed beliefs and cultural scripts. And the scariest part? You probably didn't even notice it happening. You thought you were making choices, when in reality, the soul's stolen truth was pulling strings in the background, keeping you from remembering who you really are. But here's the kicker: once you glimpse the cracks in the illusion, you can't unsee them. That emptiness you've been feeling? It's not depression, laziness, or lack of ambition, it's the signal of something deeper calling you back. It's the whisper of ancient soul wisdom trying to break through the static, reminding you that spiritual awakening secrets are hidden in plain sight, waiting for you to claim them. And the fastest reward? The moment you even begin to ask the right questions, life starts shifting. Synchronicities multiply, old wounds surface, and clarity peeks through the fog. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also the beginning of freedom. So the real question is, are you ready to uncover the hidden code of soul that was stolen from you and step into the life that was always meant to be yours? From the moment someone takes their first breath, layers of conditioning start to form, almost like invisible threads weaving around their essence. Society, family, and even early childhood experiences can act like sculptors, shaping a person into what they should be, while quietly covering who they truly are. It's not just influence, it's an intrusion. A core part of their identity gets muffled, sometimes even replaced, leaving behind a faint echo of what was once whole. That's the real soul-stolen truth most never dare to question. Think of it this way: imagine a song that once played in perfect harmony, each note clear and vibrant. Over time, noise from the outside world drowns it out. The melody is still there, but almost impossible to hear beneath the static. This is what happens to the hidden code of soul: it gets buried under years of expectations and cultural programming. What used to be a guiding rhythm turns into a background hum. Many feel the weight of emptiness without realizing why. Personal stories often reveal this theft more clearly. For example, someone might remember how, as a child, they loved painting with wild colors. But one day, a teacher mocked their messy work, and just like that, the brush was dropped for good. These tiny cuts add up until a person looks in the mirror and barely recognizes themselves. It's not about losing hobbies, it's about losing pieces of that ancient soul wisdom that once guided them effortlessly. Awakening begins the moment someone realizes they didn't just drift off course, something was actually taken. That realization is like suddenly spotting fingerprints on a locked door you never noticed before. The question then becomes, what exactly was stolen, and why has it been hidden from you for so long? Every soul carries a unique vibration, almost like a fingerprint that can never be copied. This hidden code of soul holds memories, gifts, and even missions that stretch far beyond what the mind can comprehend. It's more than personality traits, it's the very framework of who someone is at their core. When people forget this code, life can feel like wandering in a fog, never quite sure why things seem so heavy or meaningless. The soul's stolen truth begins to reveal itself when they notice that something deeper is missing. Picture it like the operating system of a phone. Without the right code, the apps glitch, the screen freezes, and nothing works as it should. That's exactly how life feels when the hidden code of soul isn't accessed. Relationships drag, careers lose meaning, and goals feel empty. But once the system is restored, everything starts running smoothly again. Suddenly, opportunities click, connections feel alive, and direction becomes crystal clear. That's the gift of remembering the ancient soul wisdom you were always meant to carry. People often rediscover parts of this code through unexpected experiences. Maybe it comes in the form of déjà vu that makes no logical sense, or a dream that feels more real than waking life. Others feel it when they're naturally drawn to certain books, symbols, or practices they can't quite explain. These are not accidents, they are signals, whispers from the spiritual awakening secrets buried deep within. They're breadcrumbs leading back to the truth. The more someone tunes into these signs, the more they realize their soul isn't random, it's designed. This realization is both comforting and disorienting. It makes them wonder, if their hidden code has always been there, then what force managed to separate them from it in the first place? Cultural programming and fear start small, a phrase here, a judgment there, but over decades they carve out whole grooves in a person's life, pulling them away from their original blueprint. When someone is told to be realistic or stop dreaming, that's not neutral advice, it's a nudge that trims a piece of identity, and repeated enough, those nudges become the rules they live by. Think of it like a tree grafted with another species, the trunk stays, but the fruit changes, the soul's original fruit gets boxed out by a foreign graft. Practical step: when they notice a habit that doesn't feel like theirs, try a simple experiment, do the opposite for a week and journal what stirs up. That resistance often points right at the disconnection. This pattern didn't appear overnight, it was engineered, layer by layer, and recognizing that is the first real break in the chain. Modern life sells shortcuts and shallow identities that mask deep losses, replacing rich narratives with sound bites and a behavior checklist. Schools, institutions, and popular media favor tidy, marketable stories, not the messy, wild contours of someone's true design. That's how ancient soul wisdom gets buried. A concrete example: family expectations might have steered a creative into a safe profession. Sure, bills get paid, but the inner compass gets muffled and dreams collect dust. To begin reclaiming the code, they can map out moments of "I used to," and follow one thread back, maybe a childhood hobby, a phrase, or a place, and bring it forward intentionally. Once they see the design, they can spot the edits that weren't theirs and begin to reverse them, one deliberate choice at a time. Fear and false beliefs act like static on a radio, making the original signal hard to hear and easy to dismiss as imagination. Each "you can't" and "not for people like you" is a cultural scar that fragments the soul's continuity, scattering pieces across roles, jobs, and relationships. Analogously, it's like a mosaic someone broke and scattered. Reclaiming it means gathering pieces, not pretending the floor was never cracked. Practical suggestion: daily micro-rituals, 5 minutes of focused breath, 1 line of journaling, a walk without headphones, slowly rebuild the listening capacity to the hidden code of soul. These small rituals aren't fluff, they're the repair work that undoes generations of engineered disconnection. Reclaiming the original blueprint is not a single heroic act but a steady dismantling of inherited rules and assumptions. They'll need courage to say no to what's expected and yes to what truly resonates, even if it looks risky or weird to others. A mentor might recommend reading texts that do the heavy lifting, classic myths, Jungian essays, or poets who speak to the heart, and pair reading with practical exercises like active imagination or dream logs. As the fragments realign, synchronicities and intuitive hits increase, hinting that the soul's stolen truth is being reversed and the code is waking up again. That shift leads straight into noticing the early signs, the subtle awakenings that tell someone the work is actually working. When the hidden code of soul begins to stir, life suddenly feels different, as if someone is waking up from a dream they didn't realize they were in. Questions that used to never cross the mind start bubbling up: why am I doing this? Whose goals am I chasing? Even things once considered normal begin to look scripted, like someone else has been holding the pen all along. This shift isn't random, it's the soul's stolen truth whispering that the original script is trying to come back online. It's like hearing a faint melody beneath the noise, calling you to listen closer. Dreams often take center stage in this awakening. Some feel more real than daily life, filled with symbolic images, faces from nowhere, or even messages that feel like direct downloads. Others experience emotional flashbacks that don't seem tied to this lifetime, as if ancient soul wisdom is resurfacing through memory. One simple practice is to keep a notebook by the bed. Jotting even fragments of dreams can reveal patterns after a few weeks. These records become like puzzle pieces, mapping the way back to the code. Synchronicities also multiply when the soul code reactivates. You think of someone and they suddenly call, or a book falls off the shelf at the exact moment you needed it. It's almost like reality itself bends to confirm that you're on the right track. For example, you might stumble across a phrase that matches what you've been journaling, word for word, in a stranger's social media post. These coincidences aren't random, they're confirmation that the spiritual awakening secrets are leaking back into your everyday life. As this reactivation continues, goals that once felt important start to lose their shine. A promotion, a new gadget, or social approval doesn't hit the same way anymore. Instead, there's a craving for experiences that feel alive, real, and soulful, travel with purpose, deep conversations, or creative pursuits long abandoned. It can be disorienting, but it's proof that the code is rewriting priorities in alignment with the soul. And once these signs are noticed, the question naturally arises, how can someone fully recover and embody this hidden code of soul, rather than just glimpse it? Recovering the hidden code of soul isn't about memorizing steps, it's about creating space for the signal to come through. Meditation is a powerful start, but not the kind where you force silence. Instead, it's about observing thoughts until the deeper voice underneath starts speaking. Pair it with journaling, asking questions like what part of me feels forgotten? Or what would I do if no one was watching? Often the answers come not in words, but in images, sensations, or emotions that guide you back toward the truth. The more consistent the practice, the clearer the soul's stolen truth becomes. Symbols, sacred texts, and ancient practices act like keys to old locks. For some, it's reading passages from the Tao Te Ching or the Bhagavad Gita. For others, it's engaging with ancestral rituals or breathwork techniques. Even simply sketching symbols that resonate, spirals, circles, or geometric patterns, can awaken dormant layers of memory. This isn't superstition, it's tuning into the language your hidden code of soul naturally speaks. Following these nudges rebuilds a bridge to ancient soul wisdom, piece by piece. Another way is to experiment with intuitive dialogue. When facing a big decision, instead of overthinking, pause and ask the soul directly, what feels alive? Pay attention not to logic, but to the pull in the body, a warm chest, tingling hands, or even sudden calmness. That's the inner compass realigning with the code. Practical example. Before choosing a new project, notice whether your energy expands or contracts when you imagine saying yes. Healing, too, is essential for recovering the code. Unprocessed wounds act like static on a radio, distorting the frequency of the soul. Therapy, shadow work, or even expressive arts can clear that interference, making space for the signal to shine. It's not just about feeling better, it's about hearing the code's voice without distortion. And as these practices deepen, a new life begins to emerge, one that doesn't chase, but remembers. When the hidden code of soul is finally remembered, life stops being a chase and starts becoming a flow. Instead of running after recognition, success, or approval, the person begins to remember who they are and what they're here for. It feels like switching from pushing a boulder uphill to walking on a path that seems to open with every step. This doesn't mean challenges vanish. They just stop feeling like punishments and start looking like training grounds. The soul's stolen truth no longer defines them, it transforms into fuel for deeper alignment. Living this way often confuses others because it doesn't always look normal. Friends might not understand why someone chooses meaning over money or peace over popularity. But when the hidden code of soul is active, external approval loses its grip, inner resonance becomes the compass. An example. Instead of staying in a draining job for status, someone might launch a small project aligned with their passion, even if uncertain. Oddly enough, this unusual path often attracts opportunities that logic could never predict. Spiritual awakening secrets become everyday practices rather than abstract ideas. Morning meditation feels as natural as brushing teeth, journaling or breathwork stops being a chore and turns into oxygen for the soul. It's like remembering a language you once spoke fluently, the words come back faster the more you practice. Over time, intuition sharpens, synchronicities multiply, and decisions align almost effortlessly. Ancient soul wisdom stops being a phrase and starts being lived experience. This shift isn't the end of the story, it's a new beginning. Life becomes a co-creation between the individual and their original design, like dancing with a partner who always knew the steps. The constant seeking, doubting, and grasping fade into a calm certainty: I am home. And with that homecoming comes a bold question: if reclaiming the code changes everything, then what's the first step to actually start this journey today? Because awareness without action is just another dream waiting to be lived. Now is the moment to turn knowing into doing, not tomorrow, but with one small, stubborn step today. Let them try a short ritual, 5 minutes of breath work, 1 page of free writing, or a walk without their phone, anything that interrupts the autopilot and lets the hidden code of soul whisper back. These aren't flashy hacks, they're low-resistance practices that reveal the soul-stolen truth one honest moment at a time. Ask, what if that little step is the hinge that opens everything? It won't fix every wound overnight, but it will prove something crucial: that the original design still remembers them, even if they sometimes don't. The real work is gentle persistence, not drama. Keep it simple, keep it consistent, and watch how spiritual awakening secrets stop being rare moments and start being the threads of daily life. Here are provocative questions to test the courage of their curiosity. If someone could no longer be judged by others, what would they choose to create? If money, status, and safety were no longer the main drivers, what would their days look like? Who would they become if they reclaimed the parts that were quietly boxed away? These questions aren't theoretical, they're invitations. Answering them honestly pulls up the map to the ancient soul wisdom that's been waiting. Finally, a practical nudge: subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep this conversation alive. Why? Because awakening is a practice, not a one-off, and regular reminders, short videos, guided breaths, or weekly prompts, help keep the signal strong. If they want guided exercises, book recommendations, or short rituals to try each week, that's exactly what this channel will provide. Ready to try one small step now? Which of the 3 micro-actions will they commit to today: breathwork, journaling, or a tech-free walk? Say it out loud, and then do it. When they come back, there will be another short lesson, another prompt, another nudge toward remembering.